This is, of course, Jackson's military road. But this one sentence right here is the one I want you to key in on. So this road followed, Jackson Military Road followed Doubleheads Road from Columbia, Tennessee. And if you got your little book, Doublehead in Lauderdale County, believe it or not, is mentioned like 5 times on the historical documents like this, not just paper documents, but I'm talking about historical markers. And this is just one of them. In 1805, Meigs wrote to the Secretary of War saying, "I take this opportunity to inform you the road through the Cherokee Nation is now open for traveling by carriages. By contract with the Cherokees for that road, income of the ferries were reserved to them." In other words, they got paid kind of a toll on their roads and ferries that they built for carriages and for wagon roads. Another statement that Meigs made on December the 1st, 1809, Return J. Meigs, of course, was a Cherokee Indian agent for the government. And I want to read you a little bit of what he said in that letter. And it says, "Since finding the advantages arising from roads, they," talking about the Cherokees, "have at their own expense opened upwards of 300 miles of wagon roads for the communication between East and West Tennessee. These roads intersect the first mentioned great road at different points, except one road 100 miles in length opened by Doublehead, commencing in Franklin County, Tennessee, and runs to the Muscle Shoals. It is contemplated to be continued to the navigable waters of the Mobile." So Doublehead had opened a road with his warriors that was capable of, for wagons and carriages to go down, and it was 100 miles in length, and from Columbia, Tennessee to the Muscle Shoals, Jackson's military road followed part of that old road. Now, Doublehead's road forked, or Doublehead's trace forked at one place at Loretta, Tennessee. One fork, and there's a map, but you can see one fork coming to Blue Water, to the mouth of Blue Water Creek, and this fork coming to the west. So at Loretta, Tennessee, Doublehead's trace forked. You had one fork going to his home at the mouth of Blue Water where he had a trading post. The other fork coming this direction, crossing the shoals here at Florence. It really veered off at Jackson's Military Bridge. And if you'll notice, how many of you have been to the Jackson Military Bridge where it crosses Big Shoals Creek? Anybody? It's super neat. If you look at this brochure, you'll see a picture of one of the piers in the middle of the creek. They're made out of limestone. The road was completed between 1816 and 1822. The span probably between this and the bank, the north bank stand, is probably, what would you say, Angela, 100 feet, 75 feet? I don't know how they had to have some other braces in between it. But if you go to St. Florine, as you get to that church, there'll be a road that turns off. I don't think we're going there today, are we, Hayes? But anyway, on December the 14th, 1819, the state of Alabama became a state. It was admitted into the Union. And on December the 16th, 1819, William White Bibb, who was the governor of Alabama at Huntsville, authorized Byler's Old Turnpike Road to be built from the south end of Jackson's Military Bridge, the south end of this bridge, to the Falls of the Black Warrior. And in Lauderdale County, it started at Samuel Craig's place. Now, Samuel Craig had a kind of a hotel there at the end of this, and you can look at the original law that was written by the state of Alabama, and it tells you about Samuel Craig and his little hotel. Jackson supposedly stayed in that place or visited there. But anyway, the road connected all the way to New Orleans, from Nashville to New Orleans. The military road did, and there was a road on up the river that's referred to as Burleson's Trace. It connected from Mousetown, which is actually in the Morgan County, through Moulton, and connected to the Byler's Old Turnpike Road, and then it also went to Pikeville, where it connected to this road, to Jackson's Military Road. So supplies coming down the river. George Peck bought that from Joseph Burleson, the original place, and George Peck was one of the founders of Decatur. And at his landing, you could offload goods at his landing, take them by Burleson's Trace through Moulton, and it would hit the Byler's Old Turnpike Road at Ebenezer Martin Gap, south of Mount Hope, and it continued along the old Byler Road to Haleville, and then Burleson's Trace just to the southwest side of Haleville, forked off and went to Pikeville, where it joined the Military Road. So if they wanted to carry cotton to Mobile, they could offload it at George Peck's landing, carry it to either Byler's Old Turnpike Road to Mobile, or they could carry it to Jackson's Military Road that went to New Orleans. And I haven't asked, has anybody got any questions about, but this is a portion of Jackson's Military Road, and I think really that after it crossed the Shoals Creek, I believe that Doublehead's Trace forked off and went through Tate Springs. Are we going to go to Tate Springs?
Yes,
so we're going to go to Tate Springs here in a few minutes. Anybody got any questions?
Can you point out some of these road beds and show everybody what they're looking for on old road beds?
All right, if you look up there at the end, you see that big bank with that big tree growing on it. If you look just past that stop sign, just to the right of the stop sign, there's a huge oak tree growing in the side of the road bank, and you're going up a little further in that huge road bank. That's very indicative of old roads, and that's what you look for. And you'll see when we get to the North River Road over there between Florence and Killeen, it's very, very obvious what these old road beds look. They never had, as far as I know, most of these old road beds were never built up, built up above high water. They didn't go in there, and they usually followed the highland or divided area. Now when one road would get wore out, sometimes they'd move over a few feet and form another road bed, and in between you'd have a berm. A lot of people mistake those, they think they're railroad berms, but they're not. They were actually from one road to another. Sometimes you have 3 or 4 of these old roads. They'll be parallel with each other, and there'll be a berm between each one of them. Anybody?
Back this direction, you see the road bed here, and then you see a side berm there. That's where they moved the road one time. But easier to see is right over here, that berm in the middle, and then the berm here. That's a road, that's where it wore out one spot, and they just moved it over. And if you look back over here where that big hat layer is in the banking, there's another chute of the road bed right over there. But if you're looking for an old place, when you see these spots, you can usually follow them right on into that old spot.
Where are we going from here?
We're going to go to Coffee Cemetery from here.